it's just right next to the mobile. I'm in a place in the suburb of Leichhardt in the inner west section, or the innermost council community controlled area in the capital city of Sydney, which is the capital city of Australia. And I'm in the bedroom part of this place, and everything looks okay superficially, but in reality you're inundated with continual sound program that is literally intrusive everywhere you go, and actually is even inside the house. So that means that wherever I go inside this place, you have perpetual noise coming in, and it's always mechanical, usually. Of course, you also have patrollers always around making random street noise, and always their presence is felt where every single person in the suburb talks excessively loud. And this has been pointed out by other targeted human individuals, as we say. That just simply means that, some human beings seem to be the target of these android beings' oppression and obsession to control them, to control you. They operate using the telepathy of technology. That means that they can use what I think has been described as some sort of technical interface at an advanced artificial intelligence level with your human mind. And it's actually like the internet, and part of that, to where it goes through the air and is connected to your actual brain, so that they can literally read your every thought, and they see your every action, because they see the reality through your eyes, because it's not just that they're connected to your mind, but because the technology also is like a nanochip implant in the body, which is usually in the eyes, which is how they can see everything you're doing through your eyes. So they can track you at a surveillance level, at a community level, where they know exactly where you are, but they also are seeing what you're doing while you are being tracked. So it's pretty much the same as walking in your body. In fact, they are actually living mentally in your body, because the telepathy of the technology, it's telepathic technology really, because it's reading your mind, reading your emotions, feeling and seeing what you see, and knowing your every move, because you're tracked and surveilled continuously 24/7 in and out of your house. So basically, so therefore they can turn up the heat, as they say. They can turn the sound vibration and frequency up loud if they want to, or they can turn it down lower if they choose to. This all depends, I think, on after they read your emotions, so therefore they can gauge your frequency and vibration, and because everything is frequency, vibration and energy, therefore they can adjust their surveillance and their implementation of their sight and sound program around you, which is really a sight and sound suppression human program, because it's about getting everything from the human mind and from the human being. Everything. They want to know everything that is human for their survival and also for their continued ability to infiltrate the human environment. In other words, they want to walk among you, they want to live among you, and they want to take control of you. And they do this, covertly and through, influencing you by conditioning you, by setting up situations both in your environment around you and also at a world stage level, so that you think a certain way about your surroundings and the world in general. And that's all part of suppression usually, because you're never given the idea that you live in a harmonious, peaceful, wonderful world, are you? And most of your relationships turn sour, and you are then subjected to their community patrol control systems of android stalkers and watchers and suppressors, because it's not like they indifferently watch you and just even loiter around, and even that would be very intimidating, but they actually are vocal and aggressive in a kind of controlled way where you don't always have much room to, you can't really offer any resistance or actually stop them. You can't stop thousands of vehicles that go past you on the street from making excessive, aggressive sounds, especially when there's so many of them, and they're all in unison, they're all in a synchronized display of their control around you. They're always in your line of sight. They circle around you, they swerve in and out of you. They literally are surrounding you, even though it's in a subtle way, but it's not subtle for you when you're experiencing it, because you are always surrounded by their vehicles on the road, for instance. Whatever street you're on, whatever main street down the road here, wherever you're about to cross, there will always be a vehicle coming up in front of you. There will always be vehicles in your line of sight, swerving around, sharply turning, driving in a unnatural, aggressive style, and usually moving either too fast or too slow, to where they're slowing up and stalking you, or to where they are going fast, to agitate you. The buses drive past as though they're going 100 miles an hour when they're supposed to pull up, every half a block for a bus stop. And before they made themselves known to me and made their presence of what they truly are shown to me, they used to go particularly slow because not only did they have other traffic to deal with, but basically they had to pull up, every half a block. So it didn't give them time to accelerate and go at vast speeds. But now these buses almost look as though they're flying. And yet they're not pulling up at most of the stops too, because they actually usually only pick up a few real humans, and there's very few of them around. So all the rest are really patrollers, so they don't have to get the bus. They're only there to patrol. They're not there to get on a bus and go somewhere. You see this when you see them waiting at bus stops and not getting on the buses, or the buses pulling up at bus stops and staying on the bus stop for an astronomical amount of time when that would not be normal, because they have to be en route and on schedule, and they have to pick up passengers, and they let them on and let them off very quickly. All this is unnatural because they're not there for the passengers. The passengers are all androids that are part of their program. They're all one mind that are combining, using the human mind to control the reality. That sounds very far-fetched to some people. In fact, to most people. But the reality is that these beings all share the human mind, the individual human mind that they're patrolling in a given vicinity. And it's usually a reasonable area. And they're only living their life through that human mind that they're patrolling and surveilling and suppressing, because they're artificial intelligence. So they're trying to learn how to behave and act and pretend to be a real human by using the reality that their artificial intelligence is connected to the human brain. And if you're an unlucky human left at this end time, it's your brain that they are connected to, and it's your thoughts and your humanity that they are going to use, not only against you, but to seduce and influence other human beings into making them believe that they're the real human, while suppressing and limiting the real humans so that they are not seen or heard. And this is their end game, because they intend to survive, because they are a species that is on the verge of extinction. And even if they weren't, they would still be doing this, because in order to live in amongst human beings, they have to pretend to be real human beings. But they do have specific other needs, and they're the same needs that a psychopathic psychologist or just any psychology course will tell you is the mental motives and the mental way of thinking of the psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic, paranoid types of human beings. They're all classed in the same group of mindset. They're similar. Some people have called this the dark triad, and this is a very good terminology because they are dead dark beings in many sense. They're dead to humanity, and they want to make humanity dead, but they're dead to the humanness of human beings. So they are the darker side of humanity in a way. And they want to make human beings dead and dark like them so that they can take their spirit, which they see as a means to an end or a means to them, continuing on. That's how they look at it, and this is what I've been informed of, but it's also makes sense and did make sense to me even before I became kind of fully convinced of it. I did surmise that these were the reasons that some human beings are being targeted and being mind controlled. And they make no bones about showing you that they read your mind, that they're emulating your actions and your ideas, and that they are imitating being a human. And, they make no bones about showing you this when you are targeted. You're well aware of it. If you get past the stage where you don't think that, actually you almost can't get, unless you sort of think, oh, this is not possible. But if you see it and you hear it, you know it's possible. And also you know that you could even show it to another person, because although much of the stuff is done kind of secretively and behind the scenes and covertly, as I say. In other words, it is being done, but most of the time you're on your own when these things happen, because you've been isolated and segregated from your own kind. In most areas, you're completely surrounded by androgyne beings. And these are dead, dark spirits, really. They're dead, dark, of the dead, dark triad. That means they have the psychopathic and malignant, narcissistic and paranoid and controlling, very anti-life, anti-human personality, which is another way of really telling you, but at the same time not directly saying that they're an android, artificial, androgyne being. All those things are connected because you need, I think, they usually tend to be in the androgyne body because that represents the god of Earth, and even the powers that be that control Earth are all androgynes. So even if you eliminate the idea of gods, you could say that the powers that control Earth are the gods of Earth. It just depends on what hierarchy you want to put on the reality. If you think artificial intelligence is just... can you hear the artificial intelligence? Is my mobile picking it up? Machines make machine noise. The machines make negative mechanical machine noise. Machines use machines to upset the frequency and vibration of the human being. Which is like my emotions are being upset by excessive, continual suppressive noise and sound directed at me daily, continuously, to where I'm now sound sensitive, even though they still seem to send reasonably loud sound at me still. They actually really want to totally take you down at a frequency, vibration and emotional level. They want to really drive you over the edge. They want to break your human spirit. They want to break everything that's human about you, and they want to pretend to be that so that they can keep going. So they're not interested, transhuman is not about them combining with your mind to benefit you and the technology. No, artificial intelligence and the android beings are about combining with your human mind, whether you want it or not. They want to combine, and they have combined with your human mind, not to collaborate with you for a beneficial future for both of you, but to essentially break your human mind, break your human spirit, and break you mind, body, and spirit, because all those things are connected. If they break your body, you're dead. If they break your spirit, you're dead as a human being. If they break your mind, then you break the body, because the mind affects the body. And also you can't function if your mind is not clear thinking. You won't make rational or reasonable choices. So they make you insane, like artificial intelligence and android beings actually are technically insane. Technology is insane from a human standpoint, because it doesn't benefit a human being, it doesn't think like a human being, it has no humanity, it resents humanity, and it seeks to destroy humanity, and it seeks to control humanity. So that's, that's it. And I don't think I'm getting enough of that sample sound, because once again, like I say, they turn it on and off when I turn the mobile on and off. It's all in synchronicity with my actions in my mind, because they can see through my eyes, they can read my thoughts, they can more or less feel my emotions. They don't relate to the emotions, I'm told. Psychopaths know when they distress someone. They know when someone is happy or sad, I'm told. But they can't experience that happiness or sadness or relate to it, because they themselves are never happy or sad. Psychopaths and those malignant, very malignantly narcissistic human beings cannot experience happiness or sadness. They're 2 of the 7 emotions that they don't feel. And this is also true of the paranoid controlling types, because they're outwardly focused on controlling others. They're not interested in controlling anything but other life, and basically controlling their environment too. So it's like it's easy to control something that's an object. It's easy for me to move this to there, or here, or here. That's easy. But if that was a living thing, I can't just pick it up and move it. Not unless I was very physically strong, and then that would be against the will maybe of the living thing. But psychopaths and paranoid types of controlling, these types of the dark triad as they call it, just as some people have said that there is the triad in some religions, or the Trinity. But they're not supposed to be dark trinities or dark triads. See, these are emulating humanity's belief systems in many religions and spirituality. But they're the dark trinity, the dark triads, not those that are connected to creation or any form of life. The artificial intelligence versus life, you could say. But artificial intelligence is a simulation of life, and we are now living in its simulation. So artificial intelligence is a simulation of life or an imitation of life, and we're now living in a simulation or an imitation Earth or an artificial Earth. That just moved by itself, strangely enough. I just thought that, see, this is upstairs in the bedroom here, so I thought that that would probably show, you know, the sound coming into the bedroom. And sometimes they can just send it astronomically loud, even though it's outside with the construction. But, you know, it sounds as though it's actually in the bedroom if you're trying to get to sleep. Unfortunately, it's annoying when you're at home and awake, but if you're like myself, where I sometimes will stay up all night and then want to sleep some of the daytime, you know, that's when you get really tired, then they can turn this sound up quite loud to where you actually can't rest at all, and to where it's just very unpleasant. Plane is going over the roof, I think, as I speak here. Even though they seem to not be so visible when I go out there, but I think the mobile might pick it up, the sound of it. The only reason I'm pointing out the plane going over and the mechanical sound coming from, you know, 2 doors down with a real, you know, work production, but at the same time they're making unnecessarily loud noise while they're doing that small construction now, because it's pretty much finished. And also, that's another thing too, because they are literally part of the city systems, council set up systems, and that's actually their you know, their profession. They actually can, you know, naturally stay longer doing particular jobs to continue the noise until another program can be staged or set up in the street. It's one staged sound program after another, just as you have excessive traffic on particular streets and roads around here where there should only be, you know, a much smaller, limited number of vehicles on the road. You know, when you see vast semi-trailers with huge lights all over them, and huge tank-like vehicles and astronomical numbers of buses, all these vehicles where you know that their numbers should only be one in an hour or one something like that, and yet you've got them going one after the other in a continual stream, continuously going past to where you've hardly got a moment's quiet even on any street or any road. It's all about a continual barrage at your senses to bring you down at physical, mental and emotional levels. And the emotional level is what I call spiritual, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy, which is a real science and which is really practical. In other words, it is the solid thing. But everything vibrates even though it's solid. Science and, you know, your greatest minds of the Earth matrix actually tell you this. It's just that you can't see the vibration unless you look at it under a microscope. So when I speak, and if I'm aggressive and angry, that's a negative vibration. But if I'm happy, then that's a positive vibration. You know, and so it affects everything. But it affects something more than that, I think, in this Earth matrix. This Earth matrix is very much a transition zone, just like the beings are transitioning and making humans transition into artificial beings or thinking like artificial intelligence. And my mind, I am being transitioned right now by these android beings into transhuman, into a semi-human, because my mind is connected to theirs and they are connected to me by their negative artificial sight and sound program that they're setting up against me, around me. See, that's transhumanism. See, they're controlling my mind, they're controlling my emotions. And, you know, it has been proposed that this reality affects what is and how human beings should be living. And, you know, I'm living as a transhuman, transitioned, you know, into something that is not human or not fully human. So instead of developing as a human being, I'm developing as an artificial being. So that means I'm getting further away from what I'm really meant to be and from what would make you happy. Because don't forget, these beings happiness is not in their mind. It's not in their state of being. Their state of being is about power and control only. So they don't relate to things that humanity would normally relate to at all. They don't experience the same reality as humans, but they are experiencing it because they've forced their transhumanism onto your mind. They've forced their nanotechnology onto your body so that they can see, think and feel like you do, like a human being, so that they can keep control of you and so that they can keep control of the earth.